Hello, everyone. So, I just want to preface by saying that I'm probably not going to be doing the Caitlyn Bennett video anytime soon, only because there's just so much stuff with Corona going on. I'm like getting backed up on videos I wanted to make, and as I said in my last video, I was actually in the middle of finishing up a video on Markiplier, and then he made the video that he made, and I was like, this is so much worse. So I made that one instead. So I still need to put that one up because I already made it, like that took me a while. I'm just gonna put that one up and then I don't want to talk about him anymore. But yeah, I'm getting backed up on stuff. So not only is that video backed up because I want to put this up right now or whenever I get this finished, but on top of that, I haven't even really had time to like work on my art or anything, like my art channel. So I'm just like, I'll eventually talk about her one day, but it won't be like till I feel like it in the future. So I'm holding that off. But yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about a few random things with the coronavirus. And it's like, I understand that you're going to get censored from YouTube, which is so counterproductive and stupid. They're just trying to silence people from like hearing the truth about it. Because if you notice, all those positive channels are always whitelisted from the algorithm, so they get to talk about coronavirus, but news channels and stuff get suppressed because they don't want you to know the truth. So something that I found out recently is that they're not letting people do mail-in ballots for voting, and it's completely stupid because if you mail it in, then you don't have to interact with anyone. But instead they're saying, no, you have to do the ballot on this. But instead they're saying, no, you have to do it digitally at the polling place where you have to press these buttons and it's electronic. So that's even more stupid because now you have to touch things that other people are touching and they're like, oh, we'll wipe it down, blah, blah, blah. But you can't really trust that, and they don't know if they have enough hand sanitizer, and there's a ton of stuff going on. Moving on from that, and then we'll come back to it in a minute, you look at all of the cheating that's been going on, like with, closing the polling places early and showing the results before there's even been a vote, even showing you a guide on who to vote for at the ballot box on the side of the vote, like putting people up for voting who have already dropped out. There's just so much blatant cheating to the point where it's like, how is this possible? This makes no sense. And you would have to ask yourself, why would they be so brazen to cheat publicly? They weren't cheating this publicly last time. And it's because this is a red herring. This isn't conspiratorial or anything. It's not some sort of like tinfoil hat thing. This is literally a red herring because what we found out is that the exit polls are in the double digits of discrepancy, and the highest that they should be in discrepancy for is 4%. So for it to be 11%, 15%, you're supposed to already do a revote once it's above 4%, because it would be the equivalent of winning the lottery every day for the next year. That's how weird it is. So the fact that Joe Biden and several of the last recent primaries since he's done this fake surge has had these discrepancies, there's supposed to be a revote, but there isn't going to be one because no one's calling it out, including Bernie. Some people are speculating, and theorizing that maybe his family's been threatened or something because he's not going as hard as he used to the last cycle or whatever, but who knows what his reason is or whatever. But the point is, that's the real cheating. It's because they're doing these electronic votes. That's why they're telling people to go out and vote. That's why they're not letting you do it through the ballot. And that's why Joe Biden, who was in dead last, he's ran 3 times before this one. And out of those 3 times he ran, he only got 3 votes. And he didn't even get votes one of the times he ran. So people have never liked him. So for him to have this surge all of a sudden when he started off in dead last, it's fake. All of it's fake. So when they had all the Democrats back him after Super Tuesday, when they all coalesced behind him, when they did all this cheating, it's just to make you believe that this is natural, when there's actual hacking and cheating going on where you just press a few buttons and you can flip votes. So that's the real cheating that's going on. It's over. It's not going to happen. People are saying, oh, it's possible for Bernie. Unless they do it through the ballot boxes, it's not going to happen. You'd have to ask yourself, how is it that the most popular politician in the country isn't getting the most votes? It's insane. So there is a chance that Bernie will pick up more delegates than Biden. There's a chance of it, but I don't think that he's actually going to win. I still say vote your conscience. I'm not changing that. And we know that statistically 60 to 80% of Americans agree with Bernie's policies, regardless of if they're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or Green Party. 60 to 80% of Americans agree with his policies. So that's why I say vote your conscience. That's why when I say vote your conscience, I said that people need to vote for Bernie Sanders because it's your conscience. That's your conscience vote. For the few people who don't want to vote for him, they're not, they're like in the 20 percentile, 15, 30 percentile of the country. So once this is all over, they might stick with Biden. They might bring in Hillary if they push it to a second ballot. Who knows who they're going to choose? But regardless of who, Bernie is the only Democrat that I've ever voted for. He's the only Democrat that I would vote for who's running for president. And if he doesn't make it through the primaries, then I'm going to do what I did 4 years ago. For many of you who remember, who were here back then, I voted for Jill Stein. So of course she's not running, but I'm saying that I'm leaving the Democratic Party because I'm not a Democrat. I think being a Democrat is stupid. I go for policies, not people. So my whole point is, people are talking about how to get a third party to work because in history, every single time someone's tried to start a third party, it never worked. But that's because it was on the left side and they would make a party just for the left. That's the equivalent of like the Tea Partiers on the right. There aren't enough people in the Tea Party to pull people away from, the Democrats and the Republicans. Now, I'm not saying we need to work with Tea Partiers. I'm actually saying that people are saying that the Greens need to get together with the Libertarians. Basically, even, populist Republicans. Anybody who's a progressive on the left and anyone who's a populist on the right need to coalesce and get together and form a third party, because then you take a chunk out of both of the two existing parties and you form a third party with that, and then you can actually run an election. And even if that third party doesn't win, they can get the 5 to 10%, whatever the number is, to be federally funded, get into the debates next cycle and win. But it's really important to have that third party regardless, because people just don't understand. And I know that some do, but there's a lot of people out there who really don't get that we're out of time. Like, we're going to die in the next we've only got till 2040 and then the planet's gonna burn. We've already had fire tornadoes. I don't know what people need to wake up. I don't know. But that's why I showed everyone all that stuff in my last video. We can't just sit around and play games for everybody who's tucked away at home so we can all be happy. The planet will not survive another 50 years. It's not even gonna make it. So when those glaciers melt, all that methane is going to blow up and be released into the air. The air won't be breathable. Certain places are going to be too hot to survive. And even without all that, all those viruses that we have no vaccines for are going to be released into the atmosphere. People are going to die. I don't know why it's so hard for people to understand how serious this is. I don't know why people deny climate change. They're stupid. But we need to do something now. We don't have time for multiple election cycles to fix all this. We have to do something now.
So here's the basic deal Joe Biden has made with affluent suburban voters. Back me, and you can go back to not having to think about politics. As friend of the show, Irami Ose from Pung points out, it's the ethos embodied by this sign. These people don't want to have to be bothered with all this protesting. They have no interest in engaging in the ongoing struggle for justice. They just want to get back to brunch, where they can be served by an increasingly trod upon working class who are themselves praying that brunch will end with a big enough tip that they can make rent. That Biden pitch has become even more compelling here at the outset of the coronavirus pandemic, when the immediate crisis looms large and the pain of the affluent literally amounts to just wanting to be able to go to brunch again. What is the fastest and least radical way to just get back to that brunch? Biden-style Democrats just want to give enough health care to stem the crisis so that the special flowers aren't impacted, enough worker relief to say that they did something. Think of the insanity of believing it's just necessary to provide funds to treat one disease, but not another. Your pneumonia was caused by a different virus, which means you now owe us thousands of dollars for your respirator use. Think of the insanity of believing that it is remotely acceptable or sustainable to survive every day in an economy where workers are so stretched thin that even a week worth of missed work can send them careening into financial misery. 41% of households cannot cover a $400 emergency. Now, centrists tell populists to be reasonable and pragmatic in their views. In a crisis like we're facing now, it becomes all too clear that such a situation is not remotely rational. That the reality is this blissful ability to ignore the impending collapse caused by the current crisis, laid on top of a morally bankrupt economic system, will not last long. long. At some point, not long from now, even those who just want to get back to normal are going to realize that more radical solutions are the only way anyone's getting back to brunch anytime soon. Unless, of course, you like your eggs Benedict served with the side of pitchfork. Now is the time to not just respond to the present moment, but to build the kind of durable society that won't be sent into cascading multi-decade misery by an economic shock. Obviously, this crisis reveals the absolute necessity of a universal healthcare system. But there's another essential solution that next to no one, including Bernie, has really brought up. It's time to reach back to the New Deal playbook and create a modern-day works progress administration. It's a project not just for the crisis, but for a more durable future. It's an effort to place value on the necessary work of our society that goes either underpaid or not paid at all. So that unlike the last crisis, when out of the ashes we constructed a more precarious, less equal, less just society, maybe this time we can do things different. If we're willing to fight and pressure and play hardball, perhaps this time we can build universal goods like healthcare, jobs, and decent wages. Is it pie in the sky? Well, maybe. But it seems a whole hell of a lot more realistic than the upheaval and disaster we're currently living. And when our working class is thriving with decent paid, meaningful work, maybe, just maybe, every once in a while, they too can have brunch be the worst of their problems.
Such a good point, Krystal. The narcissism of the I wish we could be at brunch culture that permeates so much of the professional left and frankly the professional right is that they just want everything to keep going, all the money and the gig flow to keep flowing up so that their lives can continue as on. But what we're seeing right now is that we cannot afford to continue in such a situation. You're seeing already the impacts. Best restaurants in DC immediately lay off staff because, as you know, that business, so many other businesses, are day by day cash on hand operations. They barely have any lines of credit, and if they do, they use it to buy food. And who suffers? These are real people. These are people who don't have access to their tips. They have no work. They're not going to be able to pay their rent. We're basically creating the conditions so that people can't even go have brunch in the future. I mean, we need to make sure that people can survive the ensuing crisis so that we can at least go back to a semi-normal life in the future.
And what these, let's just get back to brunch type people don't realize is that the working class has long been in crisis. This makes everything worse. It brings it to the surface. It makes it so you cannot possibly ignore it and just have your, your martini or whatever. You have to actually deal with it. And that's actually what they want, is to not have to think about politics. They don't want to be out there protesting. They don't want to have to think about politics. They want to just get back to everything being the good life for them and this not all being shoved in their face. And so for them, that's really the piece they want to deal with. What is like the quickest path we can do to get back to everything being normal? But what this exposes is that we can't afford to cut corners the way that we did with the last crisis. We have to, in fact, not only respond to the immediate crisis, but build a more durable situation so that next time when we're inevitably faced with an economic shock, another pandemic, some sort of financial collapse, that we're not going to have workers in such dire straits that they cannot go a single week without getting a paycheck, without being in a really tough situation.
Now, on the bright side, with all this pandemic stuff, I said, I think in the How Do We Make Progress video about the Charlottesville thing, it might have been that one, maybe also the last election when Trump won. But I have a couple videos where I mentioned that bad things have to happen for people to make progress, sadly. People don't do anything until it personally affects them. And since you need a bunch of people to get together to make change, bad things have to affect a bunch of people. And you need people who have power and leeway. So you need more privileged people to be affected by something before anything can change. So this whole pandemic thing helps to make people have to stick up for their rights instead of what we have right now, which are privileged people trying to protest and fight for everything to stay the same. So another thing I want to show you is this is a weather chart thing. I'm not good with terms, but this explains that this yellowish area, this lime green area, this is where the coronavirus is hitting the hardest, this type of weather. I'm not going to go into a full explanation because this video is probably long enough already, so the video is going to be in the description if you want to see the explanation for it. But this is why it's probably a seasonal virus, and it might come back next winter. And, you know, it might mutate by then. So again, very serious. Again, 12 to 18 months before we get an actual vaccine. I'm going to link the video in the description. I forget things like names or stuff like that. So it's going to die down in the summer and most likely come back in the winter. And it might even mutate. So it'll be even worse. Also understand, people, again, it's not like the flu. People keep saying, oh, it's like the flu. It's not like the flu, people. Another thing I wanted you all to see is this video. It's really short. It's like, you know, I don't even think it's 5 minutes. You'll see it though when I put it up on the screen. But it explains how in China the government used positivity and optimism to hide the reality of what actually happened with the virus. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, like, governments, the media, they use positivity and optimism to make everyone complacent with a corrupt system. They brainwash everyone. And then the people who are brainwashed go on to brainwash more people to be optimistic and positive. And the whole problem I have with this is that it's fake. It's fake positivity. It's fake optimism. The reason why I say I hate optimism and positivity, well, optimism, you know, is just fake positivity. Like, I hate optimism, period. But positivity is fake most of the time because people use it to be apathetic towards other people's problems. That's not positive. That's a very negative thing to do. You get my point? It's technically more positive to focus on how people are suffering and what people are doing, try to think of ways to solve it or what caused it and share that information because you want those people to be better. You want to fix something. So, and people don't get that. So I think that if you have time, it's not a long video. If you can sit through my stuff, you can definitely watch this. It explains how they used it to silence people who were trying to warn everyone about this whole outbreak before it even really got bad. And now they're trying to change the narrative as if they were on top of it the whole time when they weren't. And they try to make it seem like America's the only one who's screwing it up, which we definitely are one of them, but they started it. Moving on from that, I want you all to see, you remember how people were cleaning out the stores and stuff, being selfish, me first, you know, I'm gonna get mine, you get yours, all that crap, which was stupid of everybody who did that, because congrats, you went out to go to a store where everyone's touching everything. You know, people feel around fruits and vegetables and stuff to see what's, so you're touching that. Congrats, it was raining. Some of these people standing out in the rain to go shopping. So you all are gonna get sick. But then they like hoarded stuff. You know, the reason why a lot of hand sanitizer went missing, because I don't know if you heard, but this guy actually took it all. Took a lot of it at the very least. So let's get into that real quick. So some more good news that came from all this is that we're probably going to be getting UBI. We don't know yet. Like, it's kind of temporary right now, where you're just going to get one injection at April 6th, I believe. And then in 6 more weeks, if we need another one, we'll get more. But people definitely need more money before 6 weeks are up. To all the people who are saying, I make 6 figures a year, I don't need $1,000. Go donate it to someone who does. The whole reason why they're giving it to every American is because it's too much paperwork and too many requirements to put a cutoff anywhere. Where do you put the cutoff? And then wherever you pick that cutoff, what if you're somebody who, you know, is $1 over the cutoff? That's not fair, right? So just give it to everybody. If you don't want it, give it to somebody who needs it. It's that simple, honestly. So all those people can shut up. All the Republicans who are saying, you ready to vote for Trump? He's doing this so he can get reelected, and he's doing this because he already screwed up so much. There's public pressure on him. He's the one who said we'll never be a socialist country, and everyone clapped to that. That's socialism. So what are you talking about? Moving on from that, they might make the treatment free as it gets worse. Another thing everybody needs to keep in mind is that everything that's happening in Italy is happening to us 9 days later, just about. So people really need to watch out. Also, they're starting to house the homeless, and they're doing that because the homeless people are the ones who are the first to get sick. We should have been housing the homeless already because it's just the right thing to do. And it's so stupid when people say, oh, I don't give to them because they'll just buy drugs and alcohol. Or what do you expect for them to do with your $1? What do you expect for them to do with your $2? Buy some food? They eat garbage. Okay, your $1, $2 isn't going to feed them for the next month. So they're still going to have to eat garbage. Like, have you ever been homeless? Oh, God forbid that a homeless person needs a cigarette. When a lot of Americans smoke or drink. But God forbid that the homeless person, do you know how sick that is? Most Americans drink alcohol or smoke. But God forbid a homeless person needs to do that to relieve some stress of being homeless. Like, my God. So we always should have been taking care of the homeless. You don't know how hard it is to be homeless. And if you were homeless and you shit on homeless people, there's something wrong with you. So yeah, like, anyway, my whole point is that's just the way that this is. People aren't ready, but they're starting to house the homeless because they're going to take up all the hospital beds first. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to talk about. If I forgot something like a video clip I want to add in, I'll just put it in here. So those are all my updates, and I just want to say thank you for all the supportive comments I've been getting lately. I really appreciate it a lot. You know, I keep seeing these comments that are saying like, hey, remember me when you're like 500K, remember me when you're 100K. You know, this and this and that. And I'm just like, is there something that you all know that I don't? Like, I don't know why I'm getting all these comments right now. Is this like a prank or something? Like, did someone tell you to send me this? I don't understand. But speaking of which, I actually wanted to address a comment that I got that I think I responded to. I'm pretty sure because I respond to most of my comments. But like, this one guy was like, you better stop making videos like these or edgelords, the commenter community is gonna come after you. And then they put in parentheses, primink. I swear to God, these fucking primink fans, man, like, they just won't let it go. They won't let it go. And it's so sad because it's like, what is so special about this boy? Like, like, he's so pathetic. And for the record, he knows that my channel exists, people. He just never responded. Now, that's because of their own malicious, petty bullshit. Like, they don't want to respond to small people, and they do it under this, you know, pacifist, altruistic guise of, I don't want to bully anyone. I made the video first, asshole. Responding to me won't make you a bully. You're just mad because it'll give me attention. You don't want to give me attention because you think in a sociopathic way, and you want to make sure to silence other people's opinions as much as you can without actively doing so. It's stupid. Okay, so that's why he's not responding. But he knows that my channel exists. And even if he did make a response video, it's very simple. Any edgelord who wants to make a response video on me, any YouTuber in general, but especially the edgelords because they're the ones who will get the most offended because I can't stand them and I call them out all the time. What can you say about me? I'm not fake. The whole point of an exposure video, if you all didn't know, is to expose what people are hiding. I put all my opinions out there. Everybody knows exactly who I am, what I believe in, and if there's anything I haven't mentioned, I'll eventually talk about it. But you get a pretty good sense of what my personality is and who I am based off of my videos. I got nothing to hide. So the only point of making an exposure video on me at that point, with all that being said, is to just try to take me down or defame my character. And once you do that, you reveal to the world how malicious and slimy you are. But I'll be making a response video to that and exposing you for your BS, and that's the end of it. So that's why I just don't give a shit if anybody wants to make an exposure video on me, whether I grow or not. Like, I don't, again, that comment just made no sense because what are they gonna expose? Someone please tell me, what have I done that I've hidden from people? What have I said that's not true? Or, you know, what, like, what? It doesn't make sense. So it's just all you can do is defame my character, and people do that in the comment section every fucking day, and I respond to them. So clearly I don't give a shit. So anyways, that's all I wanted to tell you all. But again, I really appreciate the supportive comments because I normally don't get a lot of supportive comments. I get a few, but you know, with a lot of my videos in the past, it's usually just a lot of people are like, fuck you, fuck you. So thanks a lot, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.